Hey everybody, and welcome to the second video of Chapter 6. And today we're going to be talking about how stock prices are determined. And I don't actually like that name that the book gave it too much. This is more talking about a couple different methods of determining what you think a stock price should be. And so we're going to talk about some stock pricing basics, and then we're going to talk about a specific pricing model called the dividend discount model. And at the bare minimum, if we jump back, we need to remember that one of the most important considerations that investors have when deciding whether or not to invest in stock is risk. And with risk comes an increased required return on equities. And so, this encompasses, lots of facets, including the cost of information, the liquidity situation that the stock provides. There's a lot of different components that go into this. But at the end of the day, investors should come out to some R sub E rate of required return on a price. And then if we look at this notation in front of us, we can see a couple things. First, PT is the price at time t. Dividend t sub t plus 1 to the e is the dividend in the next time period. So I'll write that for you guys. Whoops. And then R sub E is the required return on the equity investment. And then finally, price sub t plus 1 to the E is the expected price at time t plus 1. And so we can rearrange this formula to get R sub E. Now, let's keep in mind a couple things here. First, this formula should look extremely familiar to you. In fact, if you think back to what we were talking about with chapter 4 in particular, this is the exact same formula of a coupon bond, where if you remember, the coupon bond's price is equal to the sum from n equals 1 to capital N of coupon payments over 1 plus the interest rate 2n plus the face value of the bond over 1 plus I to the n. And so what we've done here with equation 1 is we've just now changed two things. First, we substituted dividend in for C, and then we changed the face value to the future price. Other than that, the formula is the exact same. And so if we wanted to look at a price for now for looking 2 periods ahead, we would use this exact same formula because you're going to get dividends in 2 periods and then have the price in 2 periods. And so this is the exact same formula then in equation 2 that we use to find the interest rate I in a coupon bond. So that's, pretty neat. Now, the fundamental value of a stock is just when we take out the dividend cash flow into infinity. So now we're just going to assume that a stock, we never sell the stock. So you're missing this second term because we're never going to sell. We can refer to this as the diamond hand method for, a bit of a more common terminology for it. But this is just saying we're going to hold on to this stock forever, and we're going to just sum and discount the entire future cash flow that we're going to get from the company. And we can get a fundamental value of this stock by just taking this summation of the dividend flow into infinity. And so this is one basic primer way to extrapolate a price of a stock. Now, there's a lot of problems with this. First and foremost, we don't know this. And that's problematic, right? If we don't know what future dividend cash flows are going to be, we can't extrapolate back this model. Second one, and I'm going to talk about this more in a bit, is that what if a company doesn't give dividends? Some don't. Then we have no way to do it. And there are some alternative methods of trying to price a stock. So now, though, we're going to focus on one specific model called the dividend discount model. And this uses what we learned in equation 4, and then it just takes it out with this growth rate G. And there's a bit of more background mathematical mechanics that get us to equation 5 from equation 4, but I'm going to skip it for you guys. If you are interested, talk to me and I'll be happy to go step by step for how we get to equation 5 from equation 4. But the only additional piece that we need with equation 5 is this growth rate G. And so if G is 0, that we're going to pay out the exact same dividend over time, then this goes to 0 and this goes to 0, and then you just get dt over RE. But there are a couple assumptions that the dividend discount model makes. First is that the growth rate is constant. If you think that a company is a fast, quickly growing company that may want to keep all their cash flow in the short term, then they may have a low dividend in the short term and then increase it in the long term. If that were the case, if that's what you thought the company was going to look like, you couldn't use this model. Additionally, we have to have an expected return from the stock that is greater than the growth rate of the dividend. If they're equal to each other, you can see that this goes to 0, this term right here, and everything goes, to infinity, and we get all sorts of mathematical problems. And if the growth rate is greater than the required return of the equity, then the price would actually go negative. So have to assume that the required return is greater than the growth rate of the dividends. And then an important assumption is that investors have to assume future profitability. And we'll get into this a little bit more in one of the extra videos. But if an investor doesn't think that the company is going to be profitable, then dividend are going to be 0. Because remember, when we talked about what a dividend is just the payment out of extra income that a company has. So if they don't have any extra income because they're operating at a loss, then they can't give it anything out in terms of dividends. So we have to have profitability in the company. Now, we also need to assume, as I mentioned, that the dividends are always greater than 0, starting at time t, the present time period. And this is problematic since a lot of quite large companies do not pay dividends, including Amazon, Alphabet, who, if you don't know, is the owner of Google, and Berkshire Hathaway. So Warren Buffett's investment firm also doesn't pay dividends. So what happens? Well, come to find out, especially in modern finance, dividends aren't always the driver behind investment. In fact, terminology has become more commonplace that we call dividend-based investing to be boomer investing because it's a little bit of an old school investing method. And so when that happens, all the dividend discount considerations just kind of fall apart. And there are some alternative models, and we're not going to get into those in these videos, but I will talk a little bit about those in some of the auxiliary extra videos. But for now, you have one more video left.